Hi, I'm Christine Carolyn. I'm the Executive Officer for ACRATH, Australian Catholic Religious Against Trafficking in Humans. We've made a short film clip to let you know about ACRATH's current work. We're making it right now in the middle of 2021 as ACRATH, Australia, and indeed our whole planet is grappling with COVID-19. In March last year, 2020, we left our office not knowing how we'd manage working from home in a pandemic. But we found ourselves busier than ever. We've responded to the immediate needs of people who are trafficked into Australia. They were vulnerable in ordinary times, but they're super vulnerable during a pandemic with no Australian government safety net. We've also used the technologies of Zoom, Trello, WebEx, to expand our reach for presentations, both in the community sector and in educational institutions, but also internationally. We've worked with Kirsty Sword-Gusmao to do a presentation into Timor-Leste and right across Australia. We've also done a presentation to a hearing of the Human Rights Subcommittee of the Federal Parliament. We've actually also become a truly national organisation with a whole lot of Australia-wide working groups meeting by Zoom. Some of my colleagues, ACRATH staff, as well as some of our mighty volunteer force, are now going to showcase the work that we're currently doing.
Hello, I'm Margaret Buckley and I'm a member of the awareness raising team for ACRATH. Awareness raising is an integral part of an organisation such as ACRATH that has as its vision a world free of human trafficking. Our experience over the past 18 months highlights the benefits of being open to the unexpected. COVID offered our team an unlooked for bonus. In April of last year, we were challenged by our President and Executive Officer to consider how we could assist schools during remote learning. We swung into action and updated an education resource that had been developed some years earlier. We taught ourselves what a webinar was and how to run one. We launched our newly branded teaching kit in a series of webinars that attracted teachers from across the country. On the back of this success, we updated our internal resources that enable our members to give presentations to schools, parishes and community groups. We gave our members opportunities to learn new technologies which they use freely. COVID has encouraged us to focus on different ways of engaging with people. For example, our slavery-free staff room joint initiative is now a point of advocacy for us with the Victorian State Parliament. Common daily practices like slavery-free cups of tea or coffee are integral to how we operate. For example, we encourage a social 15 minutes to introduce our regular conversation series. These monthly half-hour chats showcase different elements of ACRATH's work. A bit like this presentation, we're excited to raise awareness with anyone who's open to listening. This is how we try to bring about ACRATH's vision of a world free of human trafficking. Thank you.
My name is Peter O'Neill. I am a member of the ACRATH National Committee. My area of interest is labour exploitation. I represent ACRATH on the Australian Government's Seasonal Worker Program Advisory Group, which was established in January 2019. I have visited seasonal workers in country Victoria and Bundaberg, Queensland, to give them support, to listen to their experiences of working in Australia, and to provide them education on workplace laws. I coordinate with ACRATH members who have direct contact with seasonal workers, so I know what is happening on the ground and to share relevant information at the advisory group meetings. On one of my visits, the seasonal workers showed me their pay slips, and I pointed out that their piece rate was very low. I encouraged them to contact the government for assistance, which they did, and their piece rate was increased considerably. Some issues of concern for seasonal workers are the costs of accommodation, low piece rates, poor work conditions, and lack of intercultural understanding by employers. As a member of the advisory group, I have contributed written feedback to government draft policies and regulations and engaged in discussions around policy making to ensure that the rights of seasonal workers are protected. I am also a member of the ACRATH advocacy team that visits Parliament House every year to engage in dialogue with politicians around issues of human trafficking.
I'm Eleanor and I'm part of the ACRATH Research and Advocacy Group. I've been involved with ACRATH since late 2010, first in Melbourne and now from Tasmania where I live, dialing in remotely. I first learned about transnational crime and human trafficking when I was at university in Wales. And then I came to Australia as a backpacker, and whilst picking fruit for my second year visa, I saw lots of exploitation. One of the first projects that I worked with ACRATH on was in response to the 2010 inquiry into people trafficking for sex work in Victoria. I met with MPs and other agencies such as the police and the Red Cross, and our response to the inquiry ended up with some of our recommendations being made into legislation. Currently, our research and advocacy team meets 2 monthly, and our projects are involving forced marriage in legislation in states and territories, and whether it's mentioned implicitly, explicitly, or whether it might come under coercion. So we're going through the responses we've had from the MPs at the moment to see if any more legislation changes can be put into place. Currently, I am planning to meet with a Tasmanian senator who's responded to me about her slavery-free staff room. So I'm going to go and have a look at that. I also educate people on what trafficking is and will be presenting at a multicultural social work group that I'm part of next month.
Hello everyone, my name's Megan. When I married 35 years ago, it was white lace and promises, a kiss for luck, and we're on our way. But really sadly, for many people around our world, our region, and in Australia locally, marriage is a forced situation. People can be coerced or tricked into being married against their will and without their consent. ACRATH's work is to advocate against this illegal practice and, with cultural sensitivities, to companion the people who find themselves in or vulnerable to being forced into marriage. Some of the work I do is to advocate in a school setting or a hospital setting with frontline workers. I join together with people from other civil societies such as the Red Cross, Anti-Slavery Australia and various federal government departments to do this work. So it's a great collaborative effort to ensure the human dignity of every human person that crosses ACRATH's door. I hope you'll join us in supporting the fight against forced marriage here in Australia.
My name is Colleen Jackson, and I have the privilege of being part of ACRATH's companionship program, which supports survivors of human trafficking. Currently, this program supports more than 30 women and 35 plus children. For survivors of human trafficking, recovery is a journey, sometimes a lifelong one, from exploitation and abuse to a new life of self-reliance, security and hope. To be transformed from survivor to thriver often means confronting multiple and complex challenges, including employment, housing, legal, visa, health, education and financial challenges. Each ACRATH companion is linked to a survivor to provide a respectful, supportive presence. We are not problem solvers. Rather, we seek to provide a steady listening ear, encouragement, support, affirmation, and the occasional word of advice. This is a sacred relationship of the heart, one inspired by a deep respect for the determination, courage, resilience of the women we companion. We companions would agree that we often receive much more than we give. ACRATH companionship is a privilege like no other.
I trust that these snapshots of ACRATH's work have given you an understanding of some of the things we do. We are very proud of the attempts ACRATH is making to build awareness of the many dimensions of human trafficking and slavery here in Australia, as you've just heard. Our hard-working staff team and many volunteers have had to develop new programs since COVID-19 interrupted business as usual. Sadly, there have been increased numbers of vulnerable women, girls, and exploited workers whom we have assisted. Advocacy is also a significant area of ACRATH's work, as it can and does bring about systemic change. ACRATH's mission statement, that all should have life and have it to the full, pushes us into the messy marketplace of an unjust, unequal, and exploitative world. ACRATH wants to change these injustices. We are keen to work with others. I encourage you to learn more about ACRATH's outreach and programs via the links on the screen. Thank you for your interest.